Imagine a state where the mind is like a tranquil lake, reflecting the universe without distortion. A place where the search for truth is not found in books or legends, but in the direct experience of being. Welcome to the world of Zen Buddhism, a path that cannot be explained, but must be lived. Today we will explore the history, philosophy, and practices of Zen, a tradition that unites the profound with the simple, discipline with spontaneity, and understand how this is the simplest path for those seeking enlightenment. The history of Zen Buddhism begins in India with the awakening of Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, around the 5th century BCE. His teachings spread across Asia, but it was in China during the 6th century that Zen, as we know it today, began to take shape. Buddhism traveled along the Silk Road, encountering Taoism in China. This interaction gave rise to Chan, later called Zen in Japan. At the center of this history is Bodhidharma, the Indian monk who brought a radical approach, silent meditation as the heart of spiritual practice. Although little is known about his life, he is considered the 28th patriarch of Indian Buddhism and the founder of Chan in China, the precursor to Zen Buddhism. According to legend, Bodhidharma left India and crossed the Himalayas into China, carrying not only the Buddha's teachings, but also a revolutionary message. Awakening is not achieved through scriptures or rituals, but through direct experience and deep meditation. Upon arriving in China, Bodhidharma sought refuge at the famous Shaolin Monastery. There, he found monks who were exhausted and unmotivated. To revitalize them, he taught both seated meditation, dhyana, and physical exercises that would later influence traditional martial arts. Perhaps the most famous aspect of his story is his 9-year meditation facing a wall. This act symbolizes the essence of Zen, total focus on introspection and inner silence. Bodhidharma believed that truth could not be taught, only experienced. While Bodhidharma brought Buddhism to China, it was a young monk named Dogen Zenji who consolidated Zen Buddhism in Japan, transforming it into a profound and unique tradition. Dogen was born in 1200 into an aristocratic family. He lost his parents at a young age, leading him to deeply reflect on the impermanence of life. At 13, he entered monastic life, but soon became restless with a question. If all beings possess Buddha nature, why practice? Dissatisfied with the answers he found in Japan, Dogen decided to travel to China in search of deeper understanding. There, he encountered Master Rujing of the Chan tradition, who completely transformed his comprehension. Under Rujing's guidance, Dogen experienced awakening by realizing that practice and enlightenment are not separate. This teaching became the core of his philosophy. Zazen, or seated meditation, is itself the expression of awakening. Upon returning to Japan, Dogen founded the Eiheiji Monastery, which remains one of the primary centers of Zen in the world today. There, he wrote Shobogenzo, one of the most important texts of Zen, articulating his insights on the nature of reality, time, and practice. Dogen not only brought the practice of Zazen to Japan, but also emphasized the importance of living each act with full awareness. For him, washing a bowl or sweeping the floor were expressions of the path. As he said, "To study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self." Thanks to Dogen Zenji, Zen Buddhism found its form in Japan, remaining faithful to the spirit of simplicity and depth that Gautama Buddha had initiated. The great way of the Buddha is vast and boundless. To practice it is to dive into the infinite, where there is no beginning or end. Abandoning discriminations and divisions is to see things as they truly are. Thus writes Dogen Zenji, emphasizing the transcendence of dualities and the union with the true nature of reality. For Dogen, Zen is not something to be understood with the logical mind, but lived in every moment. He states, "Sitting in Zazen is the complete manifestation of awakening. In this simple act, the entire universe is revealed." Here, Zazen, seated meditation, is not an isolated practice, but the very expression of the way. Everything is contained in this present act, where mind and body harmonize with the cosmos. In another of his writings, Dogen says, "Time does not pass. We pass through time." When we understand this, the present ceases to be a fleeting instant and becomes eternity. This teaching reflects the essence of Zen, to fully live the now as a portal to the eternal. Zen Buddhism is, above all, an experience. It challenges the conventions of linear thought and rejects the idea that truth can be captured in words or concepts. As D.T. Suzuki stated, Zen is not an explanation, but an experience. This focus on direct experience is what sets Zen apart from other philosophical or religious traditions. At the heart of Zen is the notion that spiritual awakening cannot be taught through words or rituals. Pointing directly to the human mind is one of the key phrases of the Zen tradition. It means that truth is something each individual must discover for themselves, without intermediaries or dogmas. The philosophy of Zen is deeply rooted in the here and now. There is no concern for the past or the future, as the only real moment is the present. This principle echoes in the words of Master Thich Nhat Hanh. "Walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet." Every act, no matter how simple, can be an expression of awakening when performed with full awareness. Another fundamental aspect of Zen is the use of koans, enigmas or paradoxes that challenge rational thought. One intriguing koan asks, "Without moving your lips or tongue, say something about Zen." This riddle urges the practitioner to abandon dependence on words and seek direct understanding beyond the limitations of conventional reasoning. Simplicity is another cornerstone of Zen. As Master Shunryu Suzuki teaches, the posture is the awakening. There is no need to complicate the spiritual path. Sitting in silence, breathing, and being present are enough. Zen sees the extraordinary in the ordinary and celebrates the beauty of daily life. Zen also challenges the idea of a fixed or separate self. In Dogen's words, "To study the way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self." This reflection points to the dissolution of the ego as the path to unity with the whole. Ultimately, Zen is an experience of freedom. It is not something to be understood with the mind, but to be lived. As an old Zen proverb states, "Before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water." Life does not change, but our perception of it is radically transformed. In Japan, Zen profoundly influenced daily life, transforming common activities into spiritual practices. Chanoyu, or the tea ceremony, is a classic example of this integration. Each step of the ceremony, from preparation to consuming the tea, is performed with mindfulness and respect, reflecting Zen philosophy's emphasis on living the present moment with simplicity and harmony. This ritual goes beyond serving tea. It is a meditation in motion, where every gesture expresses the essence of Zen. Similarly, Zen has influenced arts such as calligraphy and gardening. In calligraphy, each stroke must be executed with full awareness and spontaneity, as there is no room for corrections. Each brushstroke reflects the artist's inner state at that moment. In Zen gardens, stones, sand, and plants are arranged to create a landscape that evokes tranquility and introspection, inviting silent contemplation. These practices show how Zen permeates daily life, transforming ordinary tasks into opportunities for profound connection. This is the difference between an ordinary person and a Buddha serving tea. Time is a continuum without beginning or end. Practicing the way means being completely present in the moment we are in. This very instant is eternity itself, and when we fully surrender to it, there is no separation between time and ourselves. Everything that exists is here, now. These are the words of Dogen Zenji in his teachings. In another moment, Dogen emphasized, "The here and now is not something that comes or goes. The present is the full manifestation of the way. By living this moment, we are realizing the entirety of time. True practice does not happen elsewhere, but exactly where we are now." These words highlight that the present is not merely a fleeting point between past and future, but the very essence of reality. In Zen, the concept of here and now goes beyond philosophical musings. It is a living practice. Zazen, or seated meditation, is one of the most direct ways to experience this full presence. During Zazen, the practitioner does not get lost in thoughts about what has passed or what is yet to come, but remains aware of the breath, the body, and existence itself in the present moment. As a Zen proverb states, "The moment you sit, the whole world sits with you." Mindfulness of the present extends to everyday activities. In Zen, simple tasks such as washing a bowl or sweeping the floor become opportunities to live in the here and now. This reflects the teaching that there is no separation between spiritual practice and ordinary life. As Master Thich Nhat Hanh said, "When washing the dishes, just wash the dishes." The act itself is not as important as the quality of presence brought to it. This focus on the present also frees the practitioner from the suffering caused by fixation on the past or anxiety about the future. Zen invites us to let go of these attachments and experience the freedom that comes from being fully immersed in the reality of now. The now is all we have, Zen masters teach, and by recognizing this, we find profound peace and clarity. The here and now is, therefore, the gateway to enlightenment. There is no need to seek something far away or wait for the ideal moment. As an ancient koan teaches, when you walk, just walk. When you eat, just eat. This simplicity encapsulates the depth of Zen. Living each moment fully is the realization of the way itself. Zazen is the central practice of Zen Buddhism, a deep meditation aiming to guide the practitioner to a direct experience of reality, beyond discursive thought and distractions. The term Zazen comes from Japanese, where Za means sitting, and Zen means meditation. Thus, Zazen is simply seated meditation, but its meaning goes far beyond the physical action. It is a state of full mindfulness, absolute presence in the moment, where the practitioner lets go of the constant flow of thoughts and opens to an experience of simplicity and depth. Zazen is not just a meditation technique, but a true philosophy of life. It teaches us to transcend the duality between subject and object, dissolving the boundaries between the meditator and the world. The practice of Zazen is a path to liberation and spiritual awakening, as it aims to achieve satori, the direct insight into the nature of the mind and reality. As Zen Master Dogen explained, sitting in Zazen is the practice of Buddhism, and the practice of Buddhism is the practice of our life. For Dogen, the simple act of sitting correctly can bring awakening, because true practice is not merely a technique, but a deep dive into the present. While Zazen is simple in form, it is profound and challenging. Beginners may find it difficult to keep their minds calm and focused, but it's important to understand that the practice is not about suppressing thoughts or controlling the mind. Instead, it is about observing those thoughts without clinging to them. If you feel anxious, simply observe the anxiety and invite it to meditate with you. Choose a quiet place, a peaceful environment free from distractions. Many practitioners use a small altar with incense and a Buddha image, but this is not essential. Silence and calm are the key elements. Sit in a comfortable yet alert position. Traditionally, a round cushion called a zafu is used, but you can also use any firm cushion or a meditation bench. The posture should be stable and upright, with the spine straight, head and neck aligned, as if a string were pulling the crown of your head upward. Main sitting positions: full lotus. Both feet rest on the opposite thighs. This advanced posture requires flexibility. Half lotus. One foot rests on the opposite thigh and the other stays on the floor. Burmese position. Legs are crossed, both feet resting on the floor without overlapping. This is more accessible for beginners. The hands rest in the lap, palms up, forming a circle with the thumb tips touching, creating the cosmic mudra. This position helps center attention. The gaze is gently focused on a point in front, with eyes slightly closed to avoid visual distractions. Breathing is a fundamental aspect of Zazen. It should be slow and deep, helping the mind to calm and anchor itself in the present, observing the sensation of air entering and leaving the body. The core of Zazen practice is shikantaza, which translates to just sitting. During Zazen, there is no striving for a specific state or effort to control the mind. The goal is simply to be present, free from expectations or judgments. Contrary to the misconception that meditation requires a mental guard to control thoughts, Zazen teaches that there is no guard. The practitioner observes thoughts without clinging to them. Thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky, while the meditator observes them with full awareness, without identification. As Zen Master Hakuin said, "When you feel yourself heading toward a goal, stop and let it go. There is no goal, only the here and now." Zazen can last from 20 minutes to an hour or more. Beginners are advised to start with shorter sessions and gradually increase, adding 1 minute per day. Daily practice is essential. Meditation should not be seen as an isolated event, but as a way of life. The goal is not to accumulate meditation hours, but to cultivate a constant state of presence and awareness in daily life. The Zen philosopher Shunryu Suzuki wrote in his famous book, Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, "In Zazen, you should just be, without clinging to the idea of achieving something." This beginner's mind, free from preconceived notions, is the ideal state for Zazen, where the practitioner finds freedom in the simple act of sitting. Zen teaches that enlightenment is not something to be sought externally, but something already present, waiting to be recognized through consistent practice and full presence. Thus, we conclude this exploration into the heart of Zen Buddhism. The teaching of the here and now is not just a philosophy or spiritual practice, but an invitation to live life with fullness, awareness, and simplicity. In the instant we realize that everything is contained in the present moment, we discover true freedom. If the words of Dogen Zenji and the Zen masters resonated with you, remember that the Zen journey begins exactly where you are. No need to go anywhere or achieve something distant. Enlightenment is in every step, every breath, every act lived with mindfulness. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you enjoyed this content, leave a comment and share your reflections. May your practice in the here and now be a source of infinite peace and clarity. Thank you for watching.